The latest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is their best in well over a year without the word Spider-Man in the title. I know it's a pretty low bar overall, so let's see how high above the bar this one can climb. Let's talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews. Welcome to my very spoiler-free review for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I want to make that clear. I'm going to talk about two things in specific with this movie, and one of them actually is not specific at all. It's very, very, very vague. And the other thing is something that has been in the entertainment news for a while. It's in the trailer, and it is in the first scene of this movie, and it is about dealing with Chadwick Boseman not being around anymore, unfortunately, to play T'Challa. So we'll get into all of that stuff. But as far as like any kind of anything with plot or anything, we're not going to talk about. I will give you my thoughts on the movie, positive and negative, but we're not going to even talk really plot specifics. I think this is one, it's going to be one of the biggest movies of the year, probably only second to Top Gun, Maverick, and I think people are going to want to go into this sort of, not knowing a whole lot. And the trailers have been pretty vague as well. So I'm going to add on to that and not really spoil too much. So before I get to the review, though, and my thoughts on this movie, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. We've got a ton of movie and TV reviews here to check out on the channel here. And please consider subscribing down below. Would love to have you aboard. And if you like or comment this video too, that is also great. It helps the channel, and I certainly appreciate it. So let's talk about this movie. First, let's get the whole T'Challa thing out of the way. You probably know by now, if you're at all interested in this movie, that they did not recast T'Challa. This movie was in the works for a while, and nobody on the Marvel team knew that Chadwick Boseman was even sick. The director, Ryan Coogler, who is back for this one, didn't know that he was sick, and obviously came as a huge shock to everybody. It was a devastating loss. And I think they made the right call here in not recasting the T'Challa character. I think it's way too soon. Yeah, I know that the superhero movies, they'll recast, every few years, every 10 years, whatever. Oh, first it's, Tobey Maguire, then it's Andrew Garfield, now it's Tom Holland. Okay, but, this was way too soon. And this is really the legendary, iconic role for Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, he's played a lot of legends, Jackie Robinson, James Brown, but I think his legacy, in 50 years from now, when people think about Chadwick Boseman, they're going to think about Black Panther. So I think it was way too soon to do that, and I think they made the right call in not doing that. Now, as we go on, the plot from there, I'm not going to really talk about it. But in the very first scene, we see them trying to save T'Challa. And they don't do a weird CGI thing. We don't see him at all except for sort of a sheet, over top of him on the operating table. And then he ends up passing away. And the reason I think it's important to kind of talk about that, other than to say, I think they made the right call in not recasting. But the overarching theme of this whole movie is grief and loss, and not just for T'Challa, but for Wakanda as a whole. And of course, they're dealing with this shortly after people are returning from the blip from, the Infinity War movies. So, it's a very, very overarching theme in this whole movie. And that first scene where T'Challa dies, and then they have the funeral right after, really, really kind of sets the tone for this entire movie. So, it was a good call there. The other thing I just want to say in very, very vague terms is that there is a fairly sizable portion of this movie, I would say, where we are underwater with a bunch of blue people. And I thought that was an odd choice. And I don't know if that's something that they did in the comic books. And okay, they wanted to sort of bring that to the screen here. But, Avatar 2 comes out in a month, and it's called Way of the Water. So I think we're going to have a lot of underwater scenes with blue people. And Disney owns both Marvel and Fox, which produces Avatar. So, it's just weird that the two really the two only movies that are going to just explode at the box office in the fall and winter here of 2022 are both involving underwater blue people. It just seemed odd to me. But honestly, I don't know if that's a comic motif that they're just bringing to the movie or what. But it just struck me as bizarre. But that's all I'm going to talk about plot wise, really. So let's talk about the movie as a whole. I mentioned at the beginning that this is the best Marvel movie that we've gotten in over a year, not involving Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man No Way Home definitely beats this one. But we've gotten a very poor track record, other than Shang-Chi and all the Spider-Man movies, because they did, what was it? It was Far From Home or something, or Home, right? Far From Home. They all have home in the title. Yeah, Far From Home, I think, was the start of Phase 4, and that was fine. I enjoyed that. But, we've gotten, in the last 2 years or so, we've gotten Black Widow, which was average. I think I gave it a B minus, and honestly, that's a generous grade. But then, Shang-Chi was great, but then everything that came after the Eternals was horrible. Worst Marvel movie. And then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I did not particularly care for. I've since raised my grade a little bit from my original C, but it's still not that much higher. And then Thor Love and Thunder is the second worst of the MCU, I believe. So we're on a really bad streak here. So, and let's talk about briefly my thoughts on the first Black Panther movie. I think it is very good. I don't think it is the greatest Marvel movie, the greatest superhero movie. I know when it came out, it was an instant smash. It's still, I think, in the top 5 grossing films in the U.S. Maybe not anymore after Top Gun and No Way Home, but anyway, it's up there. It got nominated for Best Picture. For me, it is very good. I gave it an A minus. But it wouldn't even be in my top 5 Marvel movies, maybe top 10. But even then, it's like maybe 9 or 10. It's definitely a little further down there than I think the love for it indicates. But that being said, what I really like about these Black Panther movies is that they are able to do things that most Marvel movies don't do because they're so generic, and because they have to fall in line with all of the 8 TV shows and the 25 movies that came before, and all of this. And, I really was feeling that in Thor and the Multiverse of Madness and all of that. Here, quite honestly, I'm not even sure if you'd have to watch. Okay, yes, it would definitely behoove you to watch Black Panther 1 before this one. But that's probably it. Now, I will say there is one character, and I won't say who or how they're involved, but there is one character that's popped up recently as a minor character in a couple things that we do see in this movie a little bit. Not a ton. But what's nice about these movies is they look like nothing else in the MCU. And not just because, they have a nearly all-black cast, although that certainly is different for the MCU. Most of their superheroes are white. Obviously that's been changing with the TV shows and stuff. But in any event, it's not just that. It is the whole atmosphere. They have the luxury of not setting the movie in New York or LA or at SHIELD. They are in Wakanda. It's away from everything else. And that allows these movies to explore the characters. And I think that is for the better. You don't have to have a freaking degree in MCU history to appreciate what's going on in this movie. And I think because Boseman is such a larger than life figure, right? When he was on the screen, T'Challa and Boseman, really both. So Boseman playing T'Challa, yes, absolutely larger than life. There's just so much focus on his character in that first movie, and of course, the villain as well, Killmonger. But here we are allowed to explore a good bit more some of the other characters in that first movie that return for this one, and most of them do return. And look, if we're talking about hey, Black Panther got a Best Picture nomination and all of these accolades. If there is some awards love for this movie, I think you could give Angela Bassett a supporting actress nomination. She is just outstanding. I mean, she's never not, she's never given us a false performance, but, and I don't know if she's an Oscar winner or not. I know she has been nominated, certainly for What's Love Got to Do with It. I can't remember, honestly, if she's won, though. I guess probably not, because I think about all the black women that have won, Viola Davis and Halle Berry, and I don't usually see her name on the list. So I'm going to say no, but she's been nominated, and I think she could get nominated for this movie. I don't think she will. I think the sort of the bloom is off the rose there. Black Panther got nominated shortly after the Oscars So White sort of controversy, where they were nominating largely white films and white performers. So, are we going to see a Black Panther Wakanda Forever Best Picture nomination? I highly doubt it. And I do think this movie is a step down from the first one. So here are a few of my negatives. It's far too long. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. They could easily trim 20 to 30 minutes off of this and not miss 1 second of story or, or anything like that. Character development, no. I think we get enough in about 2:15, 2:20 that we could be satisfied with that. There are very cool, gadgets and stuff. This is a tech kind of world, and so there's a lot of cool tech and stuff. And the closing fight scene is really cool, really great. But I do have to say, there is no huge, larger-than-life presence like Chadwick Boseman in this movie. There just isn't. Angela Bassett is the closest thing. But it is great to learn about, some of the other characters, and we do have, like I said, a lot of the main people do return, including Letitia Wright and Lupita Nyong'o. But it's felt, I think, the Boseman absence is felt in this movie. But it's so much better than the other stuff that we've been getting lately. From the MCU, that I have to give it, at least a positive grade. What that's going to be, I've really been teetering between a B and a B minus. I gave that first movie an A minus. I'm going to give this one a B. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because of some really solid performances, specifically, like I keep mentioning, Angela Bassett. But everybody's great here. Michaela Cole is added to the roster, and I really like her from her HBO show. But at the end of the day, is it kind of similar to most Marvel movies? Yes and no. I think it definitely does enough different because we are able to get more emotional and more character development than we typically get in these movies. But there is a big emotional punch at the end, and we've gotten that in the last few. No Way Home certainly had it. I would say Multiverse of Madness had it as well. So that's becoming sort of a stamp of these movies. Endgame certainly had it. But I think, unlike some of the ones we've gotten lately, just that ability to sort of be in a different area and explore new worlds that are not, New York City again, I think that definitely helps this movie out. So I will leave Black Panther Wakanda Forever with a B. All right, thank you for watching. And by the way, there is no end credits scene. There's a mid-credits, no end credits. So if you don't want to wait the extra 8 minutes, get up and stretch your legs after the 2.5 hour movie, go for it. There's no end credit scene. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.